All right, guys, welcome to Enriching Evenings. I'm Melanie Canatella. I'm a multi-certified animal trainer and behavioralist with my business Fluff and Feathers. And Enriching Evenings is where we get to sit down every week, a different day every single week, so everyone can join at 7 p.m. and we can talk about enrichment for our parrots. It's a really great space to be able to share ideas and inspire you guys, as well as keep everyone accountable, motivate some people, and give you the time in order to do enrichment and create it with for your bird. So this week we are getting fancy again. We are getting technical, right? It is storming real bad, and I live out in the woods. So at any time, this may just go kaput. And if you're watching this live, if I leave suddenly, I will try to regain the call as soon as possible. And if not, worst case scenario, I will pick up where I left off and just do the recording and piece it all together, and YouTube would never know. So I want to go ahead and get into today's topic. And to do that, we are going to be sharing my screen, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, we are getting real technical over here. Okay, so let me just be sure I'm good to go here. So this week is about implementing enrichment into your schedule, because what can happen is, and I talked about this before, the moment that we start to get busy, the thing that decreases in our animals' care is usually enrichment. We prefer to spend time with them, or we need to clean their cage, or we need to do food and water, so on and so forth. And so enrichment is the first thing that usually goes. And I don't want it to be that way. And I don't want people to only do enrichment when they have time or when they feel like it. I know we all live very busy schedules. I am a one-woman show over here. I run my own business with multiple pillars under it: behavior, um, and I make bird toys and wholesale stuff, and I make my own website, and I do this. I do a lot of stuff with 16 animals, all me. Especially right now, I don't have any interns right now, so it really is all me. And so it is always a lot. It's a lot to juggle. It's a lot to get everything ready for and be able to meet everyone's needs. So I've been to quite a few workshops across the United States about this topic with so many different facilities and presenters and even international presenters. And I got so much really, really great, helpful information throughout all those presentations. So this is just a compilation of all the information that I felt like was really, really helpful for me, in hopes that it will be helpful for you guys. So again, enrichment is a necessity. It's equally as important as giving your bird food and water and shelter and great vet care. Once an animal is placed in an environment, no matter how big and luxurious and bougie that environment is, it will always be boring from that day forward. There will be no environmental change for them to find new and exciting. And this is one that I learned at ABMA a few years back or so at this point, it feels like, because somebody was talking, and I really forget the presenter. If you're really curious, just comment. I will find out who he is. I have to just go back in the notes. I should have known this, but he is like the big worldwide elephant guy, and he's talking about these thousands of acres sanctuary for these elephants, and all this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. And then he's like, and that environment's crap. And let me tell you why. And it's because he's right. Once when they're put in that beautiful thousands of acre sanctuary, that's it. You know? Like there's no other animals. There's no, like, they always have food. There's no like, oh no, there be a scarcity of food or water, or whatever. It's always going to be the same. And people always love my aviaries and my bird room, and it is pretty great. But also, like, it's only great if you make it great. So it's up to us to change and enhance their environment in order to make it new and exciting, and to be able to fulfill our animals and their needs. So we need to find time for our birds. The time budget, it's challenging. And these streets, challenging. And so I'm here to just help make some suggestions to help implement enrichment into your day-to-day life that makes it easier for you. And even if you're like, I got plenty of time for this, I hope I give you strategies that make it easier for you anyway. So the first thing is planning ahead. This helps me so much, so much, because with my schedule, I need to have some me time all day for the entire week, even weekends. Every single hour, minute, second of my day is accounted for. I am never just laying around. If I am laying around, if I'm laying in bed with my dogs, I have my laptop in my lap. I'm working. It's toxic, but I do it. And so once a week, it's usually Sundays, I always kind of carve out some time that I can watch my shows. I'm a show girly, I'm a movie girly, and I can relax and I don't want myself to feel forced to have to do anything, especially business wise. You have to have some boundaries. And so in that time, when I'm watching my shows, instead of doom scrolling, I'm going to be making my birds enrichment and planning ahead for what we're going to be doing for the week, months, whatever, so on and so forth. So first, I want you to start with writing down um, every every day of the week, every little hour, and where your time is going to be allocated, right? So the bare necessities of the week is what I want you to focus on. So that would be like your work schedule. And from 5 to 6, I'm going to be eating dinner. And my children have soccer on Wednesdays from 7 to 8, whatever it is. The things that like you have to show up to, and I want you to focus first and solely only on that. All the bare minimums that you have to do, where you usually fit them in or would like to fit them in, or where they have to be fit in. And then we need to find those time gaps where you can use or increase the longevity, the duration of the animal care that you're providing. And unfortunately, that means that the social life and the extras and the fun stuff does get put on the back burner until we get all of our chores allocated for. Because again, it's just as important. We make time to feed our animals, to take them out, to clean their cage. We need to make time in order to be doing enrichment. So it also will take a hit into our social lives. Now, for me, I think somewhere in August, I think maybe August 10th, I am going to a play with my family. And that is on a Sunday. And it is later on a Sunday. And I know we're going to go to the play and they're probably going to go out to eat after because that's usually what we do when we do stuff like this. And so that Sunday evening, my time is accounted for. All right. I'm doing this. All right. We're seeing the Sound of Music. And so because I'm seeing the Sound of Music on Sundays, that week on Saturday, probably in the evening, that's going to be my relaxation and enrichment time, right? So it's not concrete. I don't want this for you guys to feel like this is concrete, but visually being able to see the amount of time you truly have, it really helps motivate you and keep you accounted for and be able to find that time in order to implement enrichment into your schedule. So then your birds have it all the time, right? But for me, I like to plan ahead with, again, like not only just a monthly calendar, but I like to just prepare the stuff the week ahead of time, right? But it is really nice, and I've been getting more into this since the past 2 months. I really have been trying to sit down and start to implement this into my life because change doesn't happen overnight, especially behavioral change. Behavioralist, I know. So it is slow going, but I wanted to show you guys this process as well. Of how I'm kind of doing things and how you guys might be able to implement this as well. So first, I want you guys to plan ahead with a monthly calendar of what you're going to give your birds and when. What are we doing, right? Because when we're starting to build an enrichment program of any size, to any capacity, even if it's for our companion birds at home, you only have one bird, doesn't have to be like facility-wise, like what I do a lot, but we want to have ample ideas in order to have that variety and fluidity within our skills to be able to give our birds, right? So if we cannot come up with 31 different ideas for the month, we have an issue. We need to watch more Enriching Evenings, right? Melanie needs to come out with more ASAP. So it's a really great way. Even if you only do this once, just humor me, right? Just humor me. It really helps you visualize what you're giving, when you're giving, and what are the goals of the enrichment, because every enrichment item has a goal of some kind. Now, the animal may use the enrichment item differently than we intended, which is all okay, but there's a goal that we have, a behavior focused plan with the enrichment. And so maybe the goal is longevity. If you're going to be away for the week, like when I leave, I'm putting in the most complex contraptions in my birds' cages, or I'm doing a lot of it. Maybe that it's an inexpensive enrichment item, and if so, we have some ideas from last week. Or maybe you're very busy that week and you can only do things easily and quickly. You want efficiency on your end, right? So it points out visually if you are giving the same type of activity or types of activities, like types of behavioral goals, too frequently, because then that also becomes boring, just like their cage that you haven't switched around in a year and a half or whatever it is. That environment that is stagnant, it becomes boring. We want enrichment to be fun and exciting and add a lot of new awesome things to our animals' environments. So this is where we're going to be getting fancy, folks, all right? So I have all this amazing tech that I used to use way back in my heyday. Yeah, see, there's going to be some learning curve here. I used to use this when I was a professional photographer. Yeah, I did that for a long time. Okay, so this is how I like to envision my calendar, right? And I'm not going to do a whole lot of these. I'm not going to do like the whole month, right? We're going to get the point. So we have, oh, this is so much fun. All right, we're doing this. So we're going to have bigger squares than that. Hold on. I just gave away my secrets. Let's eraser this. Guys, we're just going to be having fun for a moment here, okay? Let me live my dream. Okay. So we're going to have some boxes here, right? We got one. These are not going to be correct. Oh my God. Okay. Maybe we're not going to be doing this. Maybe we're not. Guys, hold on. I really thought we could. Maybe if I just do the boxes here. Okay, whatever. We're going to have our boxes. Guys, this is so much fun. Stop. This is so much fun. The chat is getting a little roasty. I know. You can tell I haven't used this in a while. We're going to do a 7-day enrichment calendar here. And this is what everyone's calendars look like, I swear to you, okay? And we'll probably split it more like this so I have room to write, because some of these boxes are a little small. Okay, we're doing it. Look, this box don't look bad, okay? We could be doing worse. We could. Okay, right. So let's just go ahead and say that this is Monday, that this is Tuesday, that this is Wednesday, Thursday. I'm a lot better at writing with this thing. Friday. Ah, that works. It's like it never happened. And then down here, we're going to do Sunday. All right. So we have our week planned out, right? And I have my calendar boxes divided in half. And that's because I want to, at the top, talk about my goal, and at the bottom, describe the enrichment that I'm going to be given. Now, when I went, what zoo was that? I think Houston. Don't quote me. I think it was at the Houston Zoo. Maybe. I think it was Houston Zoo. They had a calendar like this. No, Moody Gardens. And they had pictures. they had pictures of the enrichment item that they were going to be given. And I thought that was freaking genius. I loved that. That was like, I sat there and I was like, yes, like, yes, I wish to do that one day. Maybe if you're a visual person, like I've become with my age, and getting disabilities, that would be amazing. So you can keep this simple. And I'm going to be listing some stuff off here. In the next slide, which I sneaky peeked, you will see that I give that list so you can write it down and you can screenshot it or do whatever you want with it. So we could keep it simple, right? We could like some main objectives, very broad. We could say we want this to be a food related enrichment item or something that increases social related behaviors or physical or sensory or cognitive, whatever. Could be very, very, very simple. Doesn't have to be hard. Could be hard. I like to be hard. So some could be like manipulation with the beak or the feet, hanging upside down, maybe. Increased use of the cage, increased time spent looking for food or eating the food, consuming the food. So the increased time spent looking for food is the it's on the tip of my tongue. There's two phases of foraging, and it's the appetitive. And then the second phase is increased time spent eating food is the consumatory phase. You want to hit both with enrichment the best that you can. My duck is on the bed with my dogs right now, so I will be supervising because he can be quite annoying. Um, Pecking at their feet and stuff and shoveling around with his bill. We could increase the use of tools, which is something really awesome that parrots do. That's pretty unique to parrots. Not 100%, but they're really known for it. Increase in manipulation skills, problem solve to access resources, and increase physical exercise. Like what kind of physical exercise and how are we going to do it, right? So we're going to start off easy. Monday, we're going to um, do something food related. Food, smiley face, love food. But if I had more room, I'd probably say like increase time spent eating food, right? And so what we're going to be doing is we are going to use I'm just going to say FF2 because that is the chunky stacker toy. And I want them to increase the longevity of their food. So and this one, I'm going to hide it harder. And I write all that down, right? So don't do that. Awkward. So Tuesday, we did something with food on Monday. So Tuesday, I want it to be, I want them to investigate their environment. So enviro. We all know what that means, right? And the way that I'm going to do that is maybe I have two Bluetooth speakers. So two speakers. And one is going, here's my room. One is going to go over here and one is going to go over here. And this one in the morning is going to play a soundscape, some sort of rainforesty soundscape. Oh, beautiful, right? And then in the afternoon to the evening, this one over here is going to play a different rainforesty soundscape, right? So now we're just having them be like, oh, what's going on over here? And well, what's going on over here? Maybe we look up and we get a little playlist together of like different soundscapes. Maybe it's some bird sounds and maybe it's some like rustling leaves. And then maybe it's, some flying sounds of some kind, whatever happens in rainforest. And so we're gonna do this. And so this one, this one's food related and this one is gonna be sound. So I can keep track of everything here, right? And then Wednesday, maybe I want them to, maybe Wednesday, I just want it to be cognitive based. So cognitive based. I'm going to keep it really simple. And this one I'm going to do acrylic feeders. right? Maybe we just do some plastic feeders that day, or maybe some like PVC. I know how to spell PVC stuff that we did the other night. That's a C, obviously. If you say it's wrong, you're wrong. So this one does have a food component, but we're actually just really wanting them to problem solve, right? So Thursday, maybe it's going to be footy fun. And I'm going to take all hanging toys. And I'm going to put in foot toys, which is awesome because I have an entire, it's 10 toy foot bundle for under $20. Can't beat it. Can't beat it. So, and it's actually called the Footy Fun Toy Bundle. So that's why I was like that. So I want them to increase the use through a pseudo manipulation. So I'm going to take out all their hanging toys and they're going to get foot toys in their buckets and in their bowls. And, maybe I zip tie them to the perch, or I lay them across the perch. So then they manipulate them that way. And there can be food in there. You can be food in there. That's okay. It doesn't matter. So we can do that. And then maybe Friday, we have for our grays and our grass seed eaters, we have them, doing ground foraging. So this would be species CIES specific behaviors, where we do some ground foraging. That's pretty cool, right? So maybe we look into other species specific behaviors. Maybe this is the tool day. If you got cockatoos and fun birds like that are known and seen in the wild using tools readily in order to get their food, right? So maybe we're focusing on species specific behaviors. Maybe we do like some wood with deep holes to have them use that upper mandible to dig and carve out things that are specific to hookbills, right? So that would be something really cool. Saturday, I'm going to look at my list. What have we not used? You know what? We haven't done anything physical. Let's get physical. Let's get physical. Physical. And I want them to hang upside down. And how am I going to do that? Place foraging in the center of the cage, right? That's what I'm going to do. I can use whatever toys I need to use, inexpensive toys, toys that are easy for me to fill up, so on and so forth. I can do whatever I want, but it's all going to go on the center of the cage, hanging upside down, even if your cage isn't that big and they're all clustered together. Just put them all clustered together up there. Your bird can separate them and move them and maybe make it easier. And you know what? How'd they have to do that? They had to hang upside down and do that. So that's perfect. We want to increase their physical abilities and be able to do that. And maybe the last thing, and this is a bit, well, we might not want to, okay, hold on a second. So I was reading through my list and I love increase the use of cage space. That sounds really lovely, right? But we just did Saturday. We got pretty physical hanging upside down. Are my birds physically strong enough and have that desire in order to do both back to back? Most people, you may think so, but your answer is no. So maybe we do something like this where we can say that this, and see, this is the best. This is actually Sunday. Okay? Because this is how calendars actually work. Do you want to fight me in the comments? This is actually how they look. And now this is Tuesday. because girl can't make up her mind, right? And I really like the idea of increased cage space. So increase cage use, space use. And how I'm going to do that is, spread out the toys. Spread READ toys. My dyslexia. You'll find it full force in this exercise. So I'm gonna spread out the toys throughout the cage. Maybe they're hanging, not near perches. They get a lot of use in their cage around the perches, but what if we didn't put them near the perches? So now they're using different parts of the cage. Maybe they have to go down a little lower. Just watch for where they poop, right? So although this example is very kindergarten art style, I'm working on it. I can write. All right, I can write with this thing. I just can't draw boxes. Um, though this is what I like to do. And again, with with Moody Gardens, they had pictures. I loved that. I was like, yes, pictures. And they had it on a like laminated calendar. It was giant. It was like the whole back of their door. I forget what area it was in. I saw pretty much all of Moody Gardens. So big calendar, and it had, it was blank. So you wrote in like the months and then all the dates and stuff like that. And it was divided like this, and it had um um Velcro, and on the side were all of these different, here, let's get this out of here. All of these different ideas. So it would say like manipulation with beak or with foot or hanging upside down or whatever. And then under it would be the photo of what enrichment items they were going to use for that goal. And I loved that. I took a photo of it because I was like, I ain't forgetting this. I love that so much. And I can't find a good place to put it in my house, which really sucks. But so maybe one day, maybe somebody who is very technical can reach out to me and we can build something online that is interactive, because I can't figure that out either. I tried. I already tried that. Somebody smarter than me help me. So you have some of like the easy ideas over here, and then some of like the more complex ideas over here, depending on how deep you want to get with it. My duck is off the bed now. We're good. Oh, we need to change this. Maybe the laser. All right. Okay. So, um, maybe this is what I like to do, is find a day, like I talked about, once a week where I can go ahead and make all of the enrichment for that week and practice my favorite type of enrichment giving: grab, throw, and go. I don't know if it's copyrighted, but I feel like it should be by me at this point. I use it all the time. Um, and or maybe you pre-make small amounts every day for the day, as a part of your general routine. And I recommend doing this when you're kind of already in the area, so you can kind of convince yourself to add it to your routine. I in the morning give my birds their medicine, the ones that are on it. And I'm already in the bird room. And because you're already in the bird room, you can go into the bird storage room where everything's all prepped for you, and you can just quick fill them up and throw them in their cages for the day. And I'll show you that process. So for the once a week, I pre-make enrichment and store it in either airtight containers or on my pegboard. So I can grab it, I can throw it into the birds' cages, and I can go about my day. That's my favorite type of enrichment. I usually do this again on Sunday evening, so I don't have to doom scroll and I don't have to think about it the rest of my week. And it takes up a lot of storage space, unfortunately. So back at my old house, this house is easily 4+ times the size of my last house. I kid you not. I was living in a very small house. I very much subscribed to tiny home living. And then the animals started taking up way too much space. I put an addition on my house. And still with that addition, this house is like 4 times bigger. And then I was just like, this space isn't functional anymore. And I wasn't going for a house this big. But now that I have it, boy, Boy, I kind of like it because I now have ample room in order to do something like this, right? That's something that is, yeah, I used to rely on my shed. Like I used to make my bird toy making business was in an uninsulated, no AC, no heat shed with one big door and one window on the other side for cross ventilation. That was it. I used to sweat my butt off. I used to freeze my butt off. It was the worst, and I couldn't store anything out there because it wasn't temperature regulated, right? So if you had a basement, that you can store things in a basement if you need to, and something airtight. Um, so that's the downside is it does take up a lot of storage space depending on the amount of animals you have, how big the activities are, how much you prep, so on and so forth. So you have to have that in mind. So this is my pig board idea. So this house came with this storage room that was it's a covered carport, and there was like a storage area where like you would put like your lawnmower and like your tools, and like it had a workbench and a lot of shelves and whatever people do. And it was right off this covered carport that I made the bird room. And so the walls were like pegboard. And I was like, this is tight. I love this. And I love this because I got a whole bunch of pegs. And this is really empty. This is just residual stuff that either my birds are bored with or not interested in, or like stuff over here. Like, this is pretty chewed. You like this toy? You like this toy? My mom gave me a bunch of sand sifters for kids and plastic stuff, and I put two sand sifters together, and I put some paper inside and some nuts, and on the outside I just tied some of the little plastic pieces, and turns out this is Alfie's most favorite thing ever. Thank you, Alfie. And he even loved picking these up and like banging them into stuff. Because he's very much into auditory enrichment. So some of these are just, most of these are very worn toys. I didn't take anything out yet. But I just wanted to kind of show you, like the night before, right before everyone went to bed, I took out the toys I wanted to use for foraging the next day. And I put, out of everyone's cages, I put them all up on this wall because I didn't want anyone to get the same toy again. So it was a whole hodgepodge. And so then over to the side here is the door into the bird room, and there was a curtain rod there, and no curtains. We don't need curtains. And so I hung plastic links, which I have on my website, um, up there so I can take my smaller plastic links and hang them onto the big ones, and then I can use that for every single aviary that I have. And then once when they were ready and I had all their enrichment on there, I just pick up that link with all the toys together, and I'd carry them over to the cage. I'd clink them onto the cage bars, and I one by one pull out the toys and put them in, so it was super nice and easy. And I'm going to show you. It gets loud, but Melanie does talk throughout this, so I can't be quiet. He's so cute. Um, I just gave them their food in this clip right before I was recording this. I was like, oh no, I forgot those videos. So that's what I do, and it's super easy and convenient, and it would take me not even 30 minutes to do all of that um, for 9 parrots. Used to be 10 when Henry was around. Though he mainly just got coin wrappers thrown in his bowl. I don't think we can count Henry when he was around. But I did that. I did that with 10 parrots. So you could also do enrichment kind of boxes or activities where you get the materials together and you put them in containers or airtight containers. It could be shoe boxes, depending on what you're putting all in there. If you're putting food in there, they definitely need to be sealed. If it's just materials, it doesn't matter. And have them labeled what they are and maybe include directions depending on your environment. So when I have interns, I have these. I have toy parts and different things together with some instructions. And when my interns have a free moment, they go and they grab a box and they do the activity. And then they just place the box aside so I can refill it and redo it in the future. It's a great activity for kids as well to grab when they're bored and when you need them to give them something to do. It's easy for us to grab when we have spare time. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to put things together. We don't got to do anything. It does take more time to get all of the activities together. And you need to be able to store all these boxes with the activities as well. So it can take up space. I know I was talking with a rescue recently about how they could get their staff to have time to make enrichment items and enrichment items that um, are useful, like enrichment items that make sense. And so we talked about like why don't you have a little blueprint or have I said like pre-make 5 toys and for the week when the staff have time they go down and they make those 5 toys and you bring out those toy parts so they're really easy for them to have. They had this like wheelie caddy thing with all these bins and I was like those bins should be with the toy parts used to make those toys and that way like when they are having time to make enrichment they're making enrichment that is easy and quick to make that is functional for your birds and then like there's no questions there's no sitting there looking at I mean they had an amazing toy making area with so much variety and I was like it might be overwhelming for some people there's so many contributions to that behavior not working out as we envisioned so it's like make it easy maybe that's what you do maybe one week last week we talked about making those little boxes. Maybe we make one week, everyone gets little boxes for the week. And it has different things inside and whatever, but like box week. Next week, bird toy, actual like bird toy week. Next week, acrylic week. Whatever. Whatever you need to do in order to still bring variety in without compromising your schedule. I mean, variety can be as easy as using the same toys but putting them in a different area or filling up all the toys except for one. That way the bird's like, yo, where's the food in this one? And they keep looking and looking and looking. And then they're like, you know what? Maybe there isn't. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what happens in the wild. Your bird will be okay. So also choosing the right enrichment activity can be very important to helping it work with your schedule and your routine. So finding foraging toys that make it easy for us to fill up or making modifications to one that we have to make it easier is very helpful. So my toy line, that's exactly why I made it because again, girl doesn't have time. So I was making toy designs for myself that made it easy to fill up because I don't have time. And so then I was sitting there and I'm talking to my clients and we're doing the whole thing. And I was sitting there and I was like putting them on wild goose chases around the internet. One toy brand had, one or two foraging toys and the rest were like more chewing toys. And then like another brand only had one. And so now they're racking up all those shipping costs instead of just one place, things that are easy, things that I like and recommend because I made them. So that's where the toy line really came from, the ideas of it. And with more additions to the toy line, it's just stuff that I find has really worked for my flock, and I send them off to my friends and rescues that I work at, and they also say that it's work and it's helpful and it's amazing. And so we do stuff like that. Um, but it doesn't have to be my toy line. There are other toys out there. You can get an all wood toy, and for one little bit of prep, drill some holes into those wood pieces. And again, we talked about increasing complexity with the depth and the diameter. Go ahead and find that increase in complexity Enriching Evenings class. It's amazing. And I'm not just saying that because it's me. Maybe I am. And so if you prep that, then all you have to do is you have these holes and you just shove food in them. It's really easy. So if we can find toys and ideas that make it easy on us, those acrylic foragers, couldn't be easier. The baffle cages, the PVC stuff we talked about with last week's class on inexpensive foraging ideas. You know, there's so much that we can do that just makes it easy, right? I like using boxes, tiny boxes. I don't endorse big boxes, and I don't endorse every parrot in a box because it can really easily increase reproductive related behaviors. And I truly say that, mean that, see that. But I like it because I can just take a piece of food and either put it in a coin wrapper or don't, and use different toy parts within it and just put it all together, fold it up, put a zip tie in it. I'm done. I don't have to think. If I don't have time and I don't want to think, boxes are coming out. Boxes are coming out. So it does not always have to be just hiding food in order for to be enriching. We could talk about different noises and visuals. So like we talked about that idea with the two rainforest Bluetooth speakers and other natural noises. Because if you go on YouTube and type in rainforest soundscape, every single video you get is going to be different. Every single one. There's also Parrot TV here on YouTube. I think that's great. If your bird likes it, there's little live streams and recorded videos, long recorded videos of her birds on plea gyms, being birds. Lovely, love that. That's great visual. That's great auditory. Other shows and videos. Put on some kids' cartoons. Just remember, whatever you're putting on, your bird might mimic. And it might be cute at first. And it's not cute long term. It is not cute when they don't stop saying it for an hour straight. Even just changing the cage environment, like the perches and the toys on the inside, the orientation. Maybe one day you flip it. You just turn the cage a little bit, 90 degrees, 180 degrees. Maybe we wheel the bird into a different room that day. Or we just change where enrichment and perches are every single week when we do our deep clean. That's super easy. Have a small stockpile. You don't have to be like me. And that way you can have variety in order to design the cage differently. Because even if perches are kind of in the same area, I know some cages are very limiting. It's a different perch, it's a different diameter, it's a different texture, it looks different, so on and so forth. So that can still be very enriching for our birds and pretty easy and quick on us. Keep it consistent. So we need to hold value for giving our birds enrichment to the same level as giving them essential care. This is essential care. If we hold value for it more and really understand the value of it, and the best way to do that is to start implementing it consistently, because you really, really, I mean, really see the difference. I'm telling you, drink the Kool-Aid. You see the difference. I promise you. Drink the Kool-Aid with me. Come on, cheers. Cool Ant Club, that's me. I'm president. You can keep the consistent and then do it even though you don't want to do it. So one of my favorite quotes that I found online is, we cannot control our emotions towards the task, but we can control our actions. And when I read this, oh my God, probably 5 years ago now, it blew my freaking mind. And it really blew my mind after I was in a life-altering car crash because of someone texting and driving. I have a lot of chronic pain and I have a lot going on, and I started a life for someone who wasn't disabled and became disabled and had a really hard time giving up my life. And so I had to find ways through it. There were days with unmanaged migraines where I it gets so painful and it radiates down my neck that it feels like someone's suffocating me and I literally can't feel like I cannot breathe. And I've been to the doctor so many times thinking I was dying. And I had to go to a pulmonologist and a cardiologist and I had to all this stuff. And they're like, no, 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 you're fine. It's just migraines can do that. It's insanity. Um, and so I'm sitting there and I'm like, back then, I had 12 hours of cage cleaning to do once a week. Yo, yo, I never wanted to do it. And it got to the point where I was sitting there and I was like, I'm gonna have to rehome birds. That and the noise with migraines, I'm going to have to rehome birds. And it killed me. And I was like, how do we not? How do we not? And then I remember this quote. It's like, I can sit there and look at the task of cleaning cages and know how bad it's going to hurt my body and how much it's going to take out of me and how much longer it's going to take me because I don't feel bad and all this stuff. But I am going to hate doing it while doing it. I'm still going to do it. And what am I going to do? I'm going to try to make it easier on myself. I hate doing enrichment, whatever the excuse is. I'm going to make it easier on myself. I'm going to find solutions that work and that make it easier on me. And I'm going to find a way to make it fun. I like to listen to music and podcasts and a lot of true crime when I'm doing something that I don't want to do because that kind of keeps it interesting. Or I call a friend and we yap on the phone. I love yapping. Hence this. So, just like our job, when it is scheduled, we go, even though most of us don't want to go. But it is a necessity. So when you have the value for enrichment in that aspect, it really goes a long way. And when I know for me, when I make it a real big part of my schedule, it stays consistent. And that's again why we started Enriching Evenings, is because this would be a time like last week. I sat here and I made some enrichment with y'all. It wasn't as fast or as convenient or efficient as I would in my bird room, but I sat down beyond my normal amount of time. I made some extra stuff. The birds loved it. So sometimes we need to take a social hit and say no to personal plans in order to keep care consistent and to the high level for our animals because it is our responsibility. We took on these animals. We told them we are going to care for you and love you and give you everything that you need and then some. And I know I find a lot of value in that. Like that means a lot to me, and I take that very seriously. If you haven't been able to tell, I have three dogs, a duck, and two rats in this room alone. I take this very seriously, and I want other people to also start to take it seriously because, especially for birds, birds are caged animals, and they haven't had a lot of significance within our desire to care for them historically. They sit in their cage. Rats are the same way. They sit in their cage. Ducks, they have their coop outside, right? I want us to I want us to dog mom our birds. We flock mom, flock parent, bird mom, bird dad, whatever. Um, whatever you call it. I know a lot of us, especially who are listening to this, are already doing that, but I want the world to everything. I mean, they all deserve it. They're all still this. I mean, they're different species, but they're all still animals. So we need to create better systems. And this is my lovely new bird storage area with the pegboard. The pegboard is on it's like my back's to it right now. And this is so bougie. This is so bougie for all things considered. This is only one of the three areas I have things, but this is like my main quick enrichment area room. I have the bird toy making area, but that's more for like when we're making actual toys and doing like toy enrichment. This is like enrichment. And I didn't have this in my old house. I had, if y'all remember, it was a probably 3 foot by 1.5 foot deep and like 5 foot high, one bin. That was it. That's all I had. And then part of my shed that was 10 by 12. And that's all I had. And that was so dysfunctional. And I found myself really struggling to do things because I didn't have room for it. And again, this is very bougie. But I want you to see it, right? So these shelves came with the place. And These were all from Dollar Tree back when it was a Dollar Tree. This yellow container, it came with my house, you know? So what do I have in here? I have their their carriers for emergencies, obviously. But I have browse over here that are now just sticks, but sticks, that's a different form of enrichment. We can zip tie things to these sticks to create toys that way. And how are we going to do that? Well, we got the stuff right here. These are those magnolia seed pods right here are some pine cones and stuff. These are the plastic shelves. You know, here's some eggs, the Easter eggs that I will drill holes into, or with a lot of my birds, they're fine to be in their cages whole or half, and my birds don't seem to bother them, even my ladybirds. Um, and this one is where all my oval plastic ears are and my interlocking snowflakes and stuff. And here's some more plastic bits and bobs. I know this one is like big chunky plastic pieces. Over here are rattles. These are natural parts with holes drilled in them, pre-drilled hole stuff. And I have my drill press right over here on the workbench. So if I come up with an idea, I need a quick drill something, it's literally right there. I used to have to go outside, walk down an acre of land to get to my drill press. And walk down an acre of land, grab the drill press. There was no electricity out to the shed. Then I have to walk an acre back holding it to get to the house where there was a plug, and then I could plug it in, use it real quick, and then I had to go put it back. It was a mess, and it wasn't functional. This is natural area up here. Pieces of wood. We got cardboard pieces. One's missing because it's on the workbench right now. And then we have all my saved boxes. This is mainly my mom. She saves it all. And over here I have the paper towel tubes and some brown paper bags. And I have this all right here to my disposal. You know, in this cabinet, which used to be the only cabinet, that's where my plastic links are. So my Dremel is. I have tools under here, my screwdrivers and stuff. I should have done a panel of this room, but this is cleaning stuff. The pellets are right down here under this broom. This is their emergency carriers, like if there's a fire or something. I put all of my birds in drawstring bags, and it's all hooked to a carabiner. And I had to use that unfortunately a couple weeks ago when there was a tornado in the area. Tell me how that went. Um, so with better systems and more practice, we naturally improve over time with decreasing the amount of skill, thought, and time that needs to complete them. And when we have a room set up as beautifully as this, or anything to any capacity of any degree, even if you just have one little plastic stackable from Walmart, you decide to organize it a bit more thoroughly, right? Take some cardboard, cut them up, make some divider, tape them to the side, tape them to each other. I did that. I did that. I did that when I used to live with my parents because I had my bedroom and I had four birds in there. And then when I got Jojo my fifth, he was out in the dining room because I ran out of room. Uh, that's where all my fosters went anyway. That's a long story. That's not like Melanie hoards animals. Um, Finally, we're in the end. I'm rambling at this point. So if you have any questions, that's a good place to reach me because I'm sure you will. And if you do, reach out. If you're like, yo, Melanie, I did this and like I'm still struggling. This is what I'm struggling with. Email it over to me. I'd love to help you. I'd really love to help you. Like I mean that, truly. No matter how long this video has been up, my email will stay the same. My website will definitely stay the same. So go ahead and reach out to me if you have any thoughts, prayers, but mainly issues with enrichment. And if you want to share ideas, maybe you were like, yo, I listen to this and like I do this and I love it. I'd love to hear it because I'm always improving and I'm always sharing and I want to share with you guys the information that I get. Um, for next week's enriching evenings, it is enriching experiences, which will go really cool with this one because we talked about not always having to do like a quote unquote activity, focusing more on like the enrichment side of things rather than always just foraging. So enriching evenings is something that is really, really cool that the zoo world is doing more and more now. And I think it's really fun to bring it into the house. It's fun for me to think of as well. So I have some ideas that I want to share with you guys. So next week, there is no like shopping list or to-do list or anything. I can't think of a single thing that I could recommend and provide for you guys in order for next week's. You know, this week was kind of like planning your schedule a little bit, but next week I think we're just going to show up and have a good attitude, and we're going to have a good way to take notes and you know, have a different type of enrichment being brought to the table. So let me go ahead and stop sharing here. Um, Let me know your thoughts on how everything has been going thus far with Enriching Evenings because I have been working hard. I'm saving for a new webcam. Don't come for me. This has worked for my business for 10 years, the laptop cameras, but now definitely need some upgrades, brought out better lighting. Let me know if they should have given me an art degree back in 2015 or if you think that that should be taken away from me based upon how I could draw squares. Um, I hope you guys did enjoy this, all jokes aside. And I hope to see you next week for the next Enriching Evenings. And I think, if I'm looking at this correctly, it is July 24th, 7 p.m. If you're watching Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching this, as it comes out, or if not, it's already up. You can watch them on YouTube. There's a playlist on my channel, or you can go to my website under services. It'll say classes, and that's where all the Enriching Evening stuff hangs out. So thank you all for joining me this week and nicely roasting me in the chat log. I will see you guys next week to talk about um, yeah, talk about enriching experiences. I kept wanting to say enriching evenings, and I was like, no, I came up with that one. I didn't come up with the enriching experiences. So next week, see you guys then. Take care.